The bitter January wind swept through the streets of Portland, Maine, as Elaine Carter pulled her coat tighter around her body. At 52, the harsh New England winters seemed to cut deeper than they had when she was younger. She hurried across the salt-stained parking lot of Mercy Hospital, where she had worked as a nurse for the past 15 years. The gray clouds hung low in the sky, threatening more snow before nightfall. Inside her modest Toyota, Elaine turned up the heat and waited for the windshield to defrost. January 17, 2023. Another day, another anniversary. It had been exactly 10 years since her daughter, Melissa, had disappeared without a trace at the age of 19. The police investigation had gone cold after months of searching. No body was ever found. No conclusive evidence to suggest what had happened to her vibrant, ambitious daughter, who had been a sophomore at the University of Maine. The not knowing was a special kind of torture that Elaine had learned to live with, a void that never filled. Her phone chimed with a reminder, meeting with Dr. Reynolds, 2:30 p.m. Elaine sighed. She had forgotten about the staff meeting. As she put the car in reverse, her phone buzzed again. A text message, probably her sister checking in on her, knowing what day it was. Elaine glanced at the screen and nearly dropped the phone. Her hands began to tremble as she read the sender's information, Melissa's phone. Impossible. That number had been disconnected years ago, shortly after the investigation stalled. The phone company had confirmed it. With shaking fingers, Elaine unlocked her phone and read the message. "Mom, I'm sorry. I'm alive. I need help. Please don't tell anyone you heard from me." The car idled in the parking space as Elaine stared at the screen, her mind racing through possibilities. A cruel prank? A glitch? Or could it really be Melissa after all this time? She tried calling the number back. No answer. She texted, "Who is this? Please, if this is some kind of joke, it's not funny." 3 agonizing minutes passed before the reply came. "It's really me. I can prove it. Remember the butterfly necklace you gave me on my 16th birthday? I said it looked like Grandma Mary's brooch. No one else would know that." Elaine gasped. The butterfly necklace detail was genuine, a personal moment between mother and daughter that had never been shared publicly or mentioned in any news stories about Melissa's disappearance. Another text arrived. "I can't talk long. I'm in danger. I've been living in Flagstaff, Arizona. I need you to come, but you can't tell anyone, especially not the police." "Not yet. I'll explain everything. Please, Mom." Flagstaff, Arizona. Nearly 2,700 miles away. What had happened? Why had Melissa never reached out before? And why now after 10 years of silence? Elaine canceled her meetings for the day and drove home in a daze to her small house on Atlantic Street, the same house where she had raised Melissa as a single mother after her husband David's death from cancer when Melissa was just 7 years old. The living room still contained framed photos of Melissa, her high school graduation in 2011, her first day at college in September 2012, and the last Christmas they had spent together in December 2012, just weeks before she vanished. Melissa's bright blue eyes and sandy blonde hair, so much like Elaine's before it had started graying, smiled back from the frames, frozen in time. Elaine sank onto the sofa, still clutching her phone. If this truly was Melissa, why had she disappeared? Why had she let her mother believe she might be dead all these years? And what danger was she in now? With trembling hands, Elaine texted back, "I'll come. Tell me where to meet you." The reply was immediate. "Thank you. Take a flight to Flagstaff Pulliam Airport. Get a room at the Weatherford Hotel downtown. I'll contact you when you arrive. Come alone. I'm being watched." Detective James Rollins of the Portland Police Department set down his coffee mug and leaned back in his chair. At 61, he was just months away from retirement, but some cases still haunted him. The Melissa Carter disappearance was one of them. As the lead detective on the case back in 2013, he had exhausted every lead, interviewed dozens of people, and searched endlessly for the 19-year-old university student who had seemingly vanished into thin air on her way back to her dorm after a study group on January 17, 2013. He still kept a file on his computer, occasionally reviewing the details in case something new struck him. He had stayed in touch with Elaine Carter over the years, though their contact had become less frequent. He admired her resilience, the way she had somehow managed to continue living despite the uncertainty about her daughter's fate. James scrolled through the case notes one more time, as he often did on the anniversary of Melissa's disappearance. The security camera footage from that night showed Melissa leaving the University of Maine Library at 9:42 p.m. Her roommate reported her missing the next morning when she never returned to their dorm. Melissa's car was found in the campus parking lot. Her cell phone, laptop, and wallet were never recovered. There had been one promising lead early on. A gas station attendant in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, reported seeing a young woman matching Melissa's description around 1 a.m. on January 18th. She appeared to be traveling with a man in his 30s driving a dark-colored SUV. They had headed west on Interstate 95. The attendant had come forward after seeing Melissa's photo on the news, but by then the trail had gone cold. Traffic cameras had been checked, but the quality was too poor to make a positive identification. James's office phone rang, pulling him from his thoughts. Detective Rollins. James, it's Sarah from the front desk. Elaine Carter just called. She's trying to reach you, says it's urgent. James straightened in his chair. Did she say what it was about? No, just that she needs to speak with you immediately. She sounded strange. Thanks, Sarah. I'll call her right back. James dialed Elaine's number, but the call went straight to voicemail. Unusual. He tried again with the same result. A sense of unease settled over him. In all the years he had known Elaine, she had never been difficult to reach, especially after initiating contact herself. He decided to drive by her house. 20 minutes later, he pulled up to the small blue Cape Cod on Atlantic Street. Elaine's Toyota was in the driveway, but there was no answer when he knocked on the door. Looking through the front window, he could see lights on inside. Just as he was about to try calling again, his phone buzzed with a text from Elaine. Sorry, I missed your call. I'm fine. Just emotional today with the anniversary. Nothing urgent after all. James frowned. Something felt off. The message seemed too formal, not like Elaine's usual straightforward communication style. He texted back, Are you home? I'm outside. The reply came quickly. Had to run an errand. Talk tomorrow. His instincts, honed by 37 years on the force, told him something wasn't right. He walked around to the back of the house and peered through the kitchen window. On the counter was Elaine's purse and car keys. James immediately called for backup, and within minutes, officers arrived to perform a welfare check. When there was no response to their knocking, they entered through an unlocked back door. The house was empty, but showed signs of hasty packing. A suitcase was missing from the hall closet. Dresser drawers in the bedroom stood half open. Elaine's passport was gone from the desk drawer where she kept important documents. On the kitchen table, officers found a printed boarding pass for a flight to Flagstaff, Arizona, departing that evening from Portland International Jetport. Next to it was a handwritten note that simply read, I have to find her. James stared at the note, a chill running down his spine. After 10 years, what had suddenly made Elaine believe her daughter might be in Arizona? And why hadn't she told him about it? He immediately contacted the airport to try to intercept Elaine before her flight, but he was too late. American Airlines Flight 2487 had departed 20 minutes earlier, with Elaine Carter confirmed on board. The historic Weatherford Hotel in downtown Flagstaff stood as an elegant testament to the city's past, its red brick exterior and corner turret a distinctive landmark against the backdrop of the San Francisco peaks. Built in 1900, it had witnessed over a century of the city's evolution from a railroad town to a vibrant mountain community. Elaine Carter sat by the window in her third-floor room, watching the pedestrians on Aspen Avenue below. The flight and subsequent drive from the airport had left her exhausted, but sleep seemed impossible. Her mind raced with questions and fragmented theories about what might have happened to Melissa. Outside, a light snow was falling, unusual but not unheard of for Flagstaff in late January. At 7,000 feet elevation, the city experienced all 4 seasons, unlike the desert regions of Arizona that most people associated with the state. Elaine checked her phone again. No new messages since she had texted to confirm her arrival at the hotel 3 hours ago. The wait was agonizing. She had tried calling Melissa's number twice more during her journey, but both calls had gone unanswered. A knock at the door startled her. Elaine froze, her heart pounding. She hadn't ordered room service or requested anything from the hotel staff. Who is it? She called, moving cautiously toward the door. Silence. Then another knock, softer this time. Elaine peered through the peephole but could see nothing. Whoever was outside was standing to the side, out of view. She hesitated, then remembered the chain lock. She secured it before opening the door a crack. Elaine Carter. A man's voice unfamiliar. Yes, she replied, keeping the door barely open. I have a message for you. A white envelope slid through the narrow opening. She said to give you this. Before Elaine could respond or get a look at the messenger, she heard footsteps retreating down the hallway. She quickly closed and locked the door, then tore open the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a handwritten note. "Mom, meet me tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Macy's European Coffee House on Beaver Street. Come alone, and don't tell anyone where you're going. I'll explain everything. M." Elaine sank onto the edge of the bed, clutching the note. The handwriting was unmistakably Melissa's, the distinctive way she curved her capital M, and the slight slant to the right. Elaine had kept birthday cards and notes from her daughter over the years, had studied them countless times after Melissa's disappearance, searching for any clue she might have missed. She was still staring at the note when her phone rang, displaying a Portland area code. Detective Rollins. Elaine hesitated before answering. "Hello, James." "Elaine, what's going on? I stopped by your house, and you weren't there. The officers found your boarding pass to Flagstaff. Why didn't you tell me?" She had known this call would come eventually. James had been kind and dedicated throughout the investigation, had gone above and beyond to try to find Melissa. But the text had been clear. Tell no one, especially not the police. "I'm sorry, James. I needed some time away, with the anniversary and everything. I have a friend in Flagstaff I've been meaning to visit." A pause on the line. "Elaine, in 10 years, you've never once mentioned knowing anyone in Arizona. What's really going on?" "Nothing's going on. I just needed a change of scenery." The lie felt bitter on her tongue. "I should have told you, but it was a last-minute decision." "Did you receive some kind of information about Melissa? Has someone contacted you?" Elaine closed her eyes, torn between her trust in James and the desperate need to protect whatever chance she had of seeing her daughter again. "No, nothing like that. Please, James. I just need a few days to clear my head." "Elaine, if you've received any information about Melissa, you need to tell me. We can help. If someone's contacted you, it could be dangerous to handle this alone. I appreciate your concern, but I'm fine. Really. I'll call you when I get back to Portland." After several more minutes of James trying to get information and Elaine deflecting, she finally ended the call, feeling guilty but resolute. She turned off her phone's location services and set an alarm for 8 a.m. Sleep came in fitful bursts that night, her dreams filled with fractured images of Melissa as a child, as a teenager, and finally, as she had been the last time Elaine saw her, a bright-eyed 19-year-old with dreams of becoming a marine biologist. Morning arrived with clear skies and temperatures in the mid-30s. Elaine dressed carefully in layers, jeans, a sweater, and her warmest coat. She wasn't sure how long she would be outside or what the day might bring. Macy's European Coffee House was a 15-minute walk from a hotel. The cozy cafe was already bustling when Elaine arrived at 9:45 a.m. She found a small table near the back with a view of the door and ordered a cappuccino, her eyes constantly scanning the entrance. At precisely 10 a.m., the door opened and Elaine's breath caught in her throat. A woman with shoulder-length dark brown hair entered, wearing sunglasses despite the winter day. She was thinner than Melissa had been, and her hair was different, but there was something in the way she moved, in the set of her shoulders. The woman approached Elaine's table and slowly removed her sunglasses. Blue eyes, Melissa's eyes, looked back at her, now lined with a decade of unknown experiences. "Mom," she said softly, her voice older but unmistakable. Elaine stood, her legs nearly giving way beneath her. "Melissa." Mother and daughter embraced for the first time in 10 years, both crying now, oblivious to the curious glances from other patrons. Elaine touched Melissa's face, her hair, her hands, as if confirming she was really there, flesh and blood, not a ghost or a dream. "I can't believe it's really you," Elaine whispered. "All these years, why? What happened to you?" Melissa looked around nervously before sitting down, positioning herself to keep an eye on the door. "It's a long story and we don't have much time. They might have followed me here." "Who? Who might have followed you? Are you in some kind of trouble?" Melissa took a deep breath. "I've been living under a different name. Rachel Winters. I've been in witness protection since 2013. The revelation hung in the air between them as Elaine struggled to process what her daughter had just said. Witness protection? But why? What did you witness? Melissa, or Rachel, as she had been known for the past decade, glanced nervously toward the cafe entrance again before continuing, in a hushed voice. "During my freshman year at UMaine, I started dating a guy named Eric Chambers. He was charming, older, 28. I thought he was just a graduate student in business administration." She paused, her hands wrapping tightly around her coffee mug. I didn't know he was using his position at the university to run a major drug trafficking operation along the East Coast. Elaine's mind reeled as she tried to connect this information with the daughter she had known, studious, somewhat shy, focused on her marine biology studies. I don't understand. You never mentioned anyone named Eric. I kept it quiet because I knew you wouldn't approve of the age difference. But then things got complicated. I started noticing strange meetings, large amounts of cash. When I questioned him, he would get angry, then apologetic. Classic manipulation. Melissa's voice had hardened, revealing a new edge that Elaine had never heard before. One night in January 2013, I overheard a conversation between Eric and several men, including someone I later learned was a DEA agent who had gone corrupt. They were discussing the murder of a rival dealer in Boston. "Oh my God," Elaine whispered. I tried to break things off with Eric the next day. He became suspicious, violent. I managed to get away and went straight to the campus police, who contacted the DEA. Within hours, I was pulled into protective custody. The agent in charge told me that Eric's operation had ties to a larger international cartel, and that my testimony would be crucial to bringing down not just Eric, but potentially dozens of others involved in the network. But why couldn't you tell me? They wouldn't even let you say goodbye. Elaine's voice broke. Melissa reached across the table and squeezed her mother's hand. The DEA and U.S. Marshals made it clear that any contact could put both of us in danger. Eric had people everywhere, including local law enforcement in several cities. They weren't sure who could be trusted. She paused. I wanted to reach out so many times, Mom, especially when I heard about your health scare in 2018. Elaine looked up sharply. How did you know about that? The Marshals kept minimal tabs on you, for my sake and for security. They thought if Eric's associates ever found out I was alive, they might track you to get to me. So what changed? Why contact me now after all this time? Melissa lowered her voice even further. The trial finally happened last month, in federal court in Boston. It was kept very quiet, no press, sealed courtroom. Eric and 14 others were convicted. He's facing multiple life sentences. She took a deep breath. I thought it was over, that I could finally come out of hiding and reconnect with you. The Marshals were beginning the process of transitioning me out of the program. She paused, looking down at her hands. But 2 days ago, my handler was found dead in his apartment in Phoenix. The official report says suicide, but I know better. He would never. And then I started noticing signs that I was being watched. Someone compromised my new identity. That's why you texted from your old number, Elaine realized. How did you even get access to it? I didn't. My handler did, as part of the preparation for my exit from a program. He reactivated it under a secure protocol, thinking it would be safe now that the trial was over. I think whoever killed him found the phone and the information about you. A chill ran through Elaine as the implications became clear. So whoever is after you might come after me as well. Melissa nodded grimly. That's why I had to warn you to see you. I'm sorry for dragging you into this, but I didn't know who else to trust. The Marshals have been compromised, at least locally. I don't know how high it goes. What do we do now? I have a contact, someone outside the program who helped me once before. He's arranging new documentation and transportation to a secure location. He can take both of us. Elaine's mind flashed to her life in Portland, her job, her home, and then to the last 10 years spent in grief and uncertainty. I'll go wherever you go, she said firmly. Melissa checked her watch. We need to move. My contact is meeting us in Sedona in 3 hours. As they stood to leave, Melissa suddenly froze, her gaze fixed on something through the cafe window. Don't turn around, she whispered urgently. There's a black SUV across the street that's been there since I arrived. We need another way out. Elaine's heart raced as Melissa led her quickly toward the back of the cafe. There should be a service exit through the kitchen, Melissa murmured. They slipped past a startled barista and through the swinging door into the back area. Just as they located the rear exit, Elaine's phone rang. Detective Rollins. She showed the screen to Melissa, whose face paled. Don't answer it, Melissa warned. He might be trying to track your location. James wouldn't do that, Elaine protested. He's been trying to find you for 10 years. Mom, we can't trust anyone right now. The phone continued to ring as they pushed through the exit into a narrow alley behind the cafe. Melissa took the phone from Elaine's hand and removed the battery, then did the same with her own phone. My car is parked 2 blocks away, Melissa said, leading the way down the alley. Once we reach Sedona, we'll be safer. My contact has a place off the grid where we can stay until the new documents are ready." As they hurried through the back streets of downtown Flagstaff, Elaine struggled to reconcile the daughter she had lost with the woman beside her now. Cautious, hypervigilant, hardened by years of living in fear. Yet beneath it all, she could still see traces of her Melissa, in the determined set of her jaw, in the quick, analytical way she assessed their surroundings, in the protective way she held onto her mother's arm as they navigated the icy sidewalks. They reached a nondescript gray Honda parked in a small lot behind a bank. Melissa quickly checked underneath the vehicle and inside before unlocking it. "Get in," she instructed. "Keep your head down as we drive past the cafe." As they pulled onto Route 89, toward Sedona, Elaine turned to look at her daughter's profile, still marveling that she was alive, that they were together again. Whatever came next, she would face it with Melissa. 10 years of separation had ended with a text message from a ghost, opening the door to a future neither of them could have imagined, uncertain, perhaps dangerous, but faced together. The red rock formations of Sedona appeared in the distance as they descended from the higher elevation of Flagstaff, the landscape transforming around them from ponderosa pine forests to spectacular sandstone buttes and mesas glowing in the afternoon sun. "It's beautiful," Elaine said softly, breaking the tense silence that had filled the car. Melissa's grip on the steering wheel relaxed slightly as she glanced at her mother. "Yes, it is. I've always loved it here." A small smile touched her lips. "Maybe someday when this is all really over, we can come back, just as tourists, no looking over our shoulders." "I'd like that," Elaine replied, reaching over to squeeze her daughter's hand. As they drove toward their uncertain future, Elaine realized that the greatest mystery of her life had been solved, even as new questions emerged. Her daughter was alive. After 10 years of wondering, of grieving without closure, of keeping Melissa's room untouched like a shrine to a lost child, she had found her. Or rather, Melissa had found her way back, against all odds and at great risk. The road wound through the spectacular landscape, carrying mother and daughter forward together, leaving behind a decade of separation with each mile. Whatever dangers lay ahead, Elaine felt a sense of peace she hadn't known since that January day 10 years ago when her world had shattered. They had a second chance. And this time, she wouldn't let go.